some of in your kit, and stuck it in there, and I just put the paper over top of it after I punched my little border design out, and I just glued it down. That's really all I did. And so you can do that as wide, or your top paper as wide or short as you want. That's up to you. And then on the other side, I just covered this side of the envelope. Not probably was going to put a border here because I got a boo-boo there, so probably didn't get that done. And then this side of the envelope, I covered the envelope in this background paper. As you see, these little polka dots here, that's the background paper. And then I took, I think I only covered it partial like I did on the other page, like down just below where this is going to sit. And I used another piece of the border paper to make a pocket again. And on 3 sides, I put my double-sided tape and made a pocket here. And used the paper again to, I actually backed that with an index card and sprayed it with some inks. And made another pocket there. And then did the little bird cage thing here, which is also in your kit. Punched flower here. I hand cut the little birds, and used before I covered the other side here, you can either, this is a very small brad, you can either just punch through the paper, or you can punch all the way through the envelope, but you're only going to punch through the top part of the envelope. You're not going to punch through the back side, because on the end I have a pocket here, as you can see. So I closed this end up and trimmed the end and made a large pocket out of it. It makes a very large pocket, at least a 6 by 6. Here's another one of those little flower brads, and I made a slip pocket here is what I call it. I put some lines just on the back there. And I just took instead of folding it over, I took this piece of paper separately and did my double-sided tape on 3 sides, and put it on top of this paper and made a slip pocket. And so that's like a pocket inside of the pocket. So inside here, as you can see, there's the envelope, and this is the end that would have had the flap on it. Okay. But of course I sealed the flap down, and I cut the metal piece out. And I think that I gave you actually in your kit the white envelopes that are self-sealing, so I don't think you have to worry about that metal piece in there. But if for some reason, some crazy reason, I did give you that instead, then it's very simple to cut that little metal piece out and seal your envelope up. So that's what this piece is. This is pretty much how the 6 by 9 would work. Or if you just wanted it to be 6 by 6 or whatever, you would just trim the part off you don't want and just do like I did and join it to the thing here. But it makes a little bit more cute interest to your book to have like a little 3rd page size pocket or whatever. So that's how I did that. And then of course like I said, do not put your brad all the way through both sides of your envelope. Just put it through the top side. So you should be able to use a very small 1/8 inch punch to stick in here and just punch that little hole, just so your bird cage fits onto the page there. And then you can stick the brad through after you've decorated, put your paper down. You're going to put your brad through, and you're going to pull your brad legs out underneath with your finger. Just stick your finger in there. It takes a little bit of patience, but it's well worth it because it's so cute when it's done. And then that way your bird cage can swing back and forth. And I thought that was neat because, if you want to put a picture here, it might be a little bit in the way of it. And then this is just a piece of ribbon that I brought all the way around the envelope back to the other side of it and tied it off here in a bow. So I didn't even, really glue that down. I just pulled it snug, tied it, and put it in a bow. And then I did a lot of these borders here and there to give dimension to the pages, as well as slip pockets, lean-to pockets, whatever. And then this is just a layered flower with a brad in the center, and it's glue dotted on there. And then this last page, I had a question about this last page. This last page is the page that you got that was the 6x12 page with the tree on it. That's what this is. And this is on a chipboard piece. Okay, so just to let you know that. What I did here is the chipboard is only 6 by, I guess, 6 that I gave you in the kit. No, it's actually 6 by 7. Okay, so the chipboard should be 6 by 7 this way and 6 by 6 this way. I'm sorry, 6 inches this way and 7 this way. I'm sorry. So what I did is I cut the tree out at the top here. This top, I just cut around the tree. I cut all the excess paper that was above it off, and I cut a straight line actually at the top of my chipboard. I just trimmed it off straight across, and that's why I put the leaves here that you can see. These little leaves, I just cut these out by hand out of the glittered paper, and glued them along that line. And then this little birdhouse here, this is another ones that I've cut from the paper and layered just like I did the others. One in the background, one on Pop Dots. Little bird is hand cut from the paper. The glue, the music note here, I just punched out with my 16th inch punch and drew a music note actually by hand and then stuck those little things on there. The word sing, that is from the glittered letters. I don't remember if I put letters in the kits because sometimes it's hard to get a hold of them, but that's what I did here. And then these are just a couple of the flowers in the kit, little glittered flowers. One's pop dotted, one isn't. And after I came back to this page, I wished I had done several things differently. I thought, you know, this is how the page actually is already. And so I figured a picture would be really, really adorable right here. Maybe even the background of the photo mat would be, you know, one you could cut out in a ruffled shape or something and put it right here. I thought it'd be really, really cute, or a couple of small school size, you know, photos. But I did wish that I had not glued this fence all the way down, because I did. I glued every bit of it down. It's made from chipboard. You have it in your kit, and I cut the piece to cover it. But what I would have done differently is just glued along the bottom of it here. I would either have used the wet glue along this line and on the bottom pieces, and so I could have made a pocket from it, or use the double-sided tape, something, you know, something to secure it well, but only this portion here. And I would have left this open. Mine is shut, so I mean, it's glued all the way down. So if you leave yours open, you can use that for a little small pocket for little photos to go in. And this is just really decoration. Down here at the bottom is just a piece of the Rick Rack. And what I did was I ran a 1/4 inch piece of double-sided red line tape first along the line that I wanted it. I laid my Rick Rack down on it. This is the nylon Rick Rack you got in your kit. I'm trying to remember how I did the behind the flowers. Let me check that. Okay, so what I did is I ran the Rick Rack through these flower buttons. So there are shanks on the back of these. I ran it, bam, 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 through all three. And what I did is I made this Rick Rack long enough to do a little loop out here. Let's see if I can show you really quick with this piece here. So here your flowers are sitting on your Rick Rack, and I left enough of the Rick Rack to make a little, actually it would have probably gone this way behind the flowers, and made a little loop to make it look like a leaf, sort of. And I did that on each side of the flowers, and then it continues with the flowers, and you do it again, and then you take the end of your Rick Rack, and I turned it under and put it under the paper edge before I glued the paper down. That's what I did. So mine are glued underneath the paper. Okay, so that's what I did here, and these are, like I said, they are on the Rick Rack themselves. They just ran right through. And then after I did that, I realized that there was some, you know, the glue, the double-sided tape showing. So I took my green, really fine green glitter, and I put it on there and pressed it in really good with my hands and cleaned it off. And I'm really surprised how great it has stuck on. I mean, it hasn't even bothered to come off. So that's how I hid the rest of the, the tape that was left showing there. So, and it really adds, it gives a little bit of depth to my rickrack as well, because it's a different green. So that turned out really cute. So that's how you do this back page. And then on this side, I just took some of the leaf paper, and before I actually glued this page down to the chipboard, I covered the back of my tree just enough to go inside of there, so you wouldn't see it butted up to the paper. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt a bit to butt it, this part right up to the edge of the chipboard. You would not be able to tell it if you did it straight across. So that's what I did with the back of the tree. And then this is just the back of the chipboard. See how that wants to bow a little bit? That's why I hate using chipboard pages. And I just covered this with the paper, and before I laid down my paper here, I put a piece of this rickrack along the edge and put it behind the paper as well. So I did that before I glued this page on there. So there's some things you need to do in order, so that they're done. You don't have to go back and pull anything apart and tear it up and mess up your paper. And then this right here is done the same way well, it looks like I did all of this stuff before I put this page down. So I put the back ribbon on, I put the rickrack on the side on, and I put the back of the tree on, and the rickrack here on the front, before I glued this page to the chipboard 6x7 piece. So I must have really knew what I wanted to do with it. Anyway, so that's the back of it. So that just is glued under there, pulled around and tied into a bow. So it's really simple. And then this is just a little dangle that I picked up at Michael's, and I just thought they were pretty. So when I made this album, I thought it was very befitting to use it with it. On this part of the album here, I used rings to bind this album, and well, number one, it's not very bulky. It's just actually almost a perfect size. But I got a really tiny ring because this part, the roof reaches out further than the bottom. So there's two things you can do here. You can do it like I did and add an extra little small ring, or instead of putting your first ring on the roof, you can put it right here underneath, like under your armpit, sort of a thing. And that will pull your album over all the way to this edge, whereas mine is not. But the reason I didn't do mine that way is because I kind of wanted it, I didn't want to have the album cover all the way here and not this portion. So that's really preference. So if you want to, you can put, measure up from the bottom to your hole point, put your hole for your first eyelet, and measure the same distance from the bottom of the roof to that point. Put your hole for your eyelet. Be sure you come in far enough from the edge, about a 1/4 of an inch at least. Okay, it probably came in more than that. Let me see here. It's hard to do with rings everywhere. Measure this direction. Yep, a 1/4 inch from the edge. Okay, so that's exactly what I did. And then from the bottom, if you need that measurement, from the bottom of the album to the center of this hole, well, of course I did it a weird measurement. It is sorry, I'm going to have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 8. Is that right? 16ths. I'm sorry, I'm brain dead today. Anyway, it's the mark just past the 3/4 mark. So if you can go over 3/4 inches if you want to instead. Instead of going the 16th marks or whatever. So it's just at the 3/4. Yeah, those are 8ths. No, the 16ths. So it's either 13/16 or it's 3/4. You can do 3/4 of an inch. I'd do the 3/4 if I were measuring, or you can just eyeball it and put it where you want it. Anyway, whatever you do on this, you also want to do the same here from the bottom of the roof right here. This is where you measure from, okay? So that's it, guys. And when you're just remember when you're doing your ribbons and your flowers, which I didn't actually do the flowers that way because they're not bad for fraying. Or you can use fray check on the ends of them. But usually with my ribbons, if it won't mess up the page so bad, make it all icky looking, I try to put my ribbons and my laces behind my paper. So just keep that in mind. That's just a little tip. And so that's it. So if you have any questions at all after this video, which you probably will, just let me know. Message me, email me, and I will certainly be more than happy to help you out if you get stuck and about the pattern pieces or anything of that nature. So everybody have a great day. Thank you so much for your interest in my kits and my albums, and I hope you have a really great day.